So this one's for the doomsters, the people that are suffering from Stockholm Syndrome, that think Klaus and the gang and Jill Bates, they're all infallible supermen and superwomen. So the title of this is, was that part of their plan? So the boosters, yeah, they stopped at 3, massive drop off in take up. I'm asking you now, the doomsters, was that part of their plan for the people to not turn up anymore for the Britney Spears concerts, people to stop at 3? I think the take up rate in Britain was less than 20% for the third concert tour. The last minute choice of decision rather of Savage Jabbit to scrap the NHS Britney Spears mandate, you know, to keep your job in the NHS. Jabbit said you had to go to the Britney Spears concert. Over 100,000 frontline NHS staff basically called Savage Jabbit's bluff, and Savage Jabbit had to do a humiliating U-turn at the last minute. So my question to the Stockholm Syndrome sufferers was that U-turn part of their plan? I don't think it was. The Nazi passports, Tony Blair was desperate for digital IDs to be brought in. They wanted to use DIVOC and the Britney Spears passports as a way of bringing it in, but they didn't manage to achieve that. Was that part of their plan? For that to fail. In Austria and Germany, the governments in both of those countries, they threatened people and said it's law, you have to go to the Britney Spears concert, and they threatened people with fines and going to prison. And despite this, at least 30% of Austrians and Germans didn't even go to the concerts once, and both of those governments realised they didn't have enough jails and enough resources to lock up those who were rejecting their mandate to go to a Britney Spears concert. So my question to the doomsters, to these people that think that it's all going to plan, was, well, was that part of their plan to have to row back on the Nazi passports? Was that part of their plan? Please tell me if I've got that wrong. If you think about these people that, you know, Jill Bates, does he look like a Superman with his bitch tits? Biden soiling his trousers, Sunak looking like a useless weed. Do you remember Keir Starmer when he turned up and tried to talk about how he likes Arsenal Football Club, and he tried to kick a football and he just looked like just a complete weed? Was that part of their plan, you know, for their leaders, for Justin Trudeau to look like just a pathetic soy boy? Is that part of their plan? You know, holding political conferences like they did here over the summer in Finland at Suomi Arena, and hardly anyone turns up. Tell me, is that part of their plan? Is that what they wanted, you know, to get people completely disengaged with politics? Again, over here in Finland, more and more people are aware of CBDCs and social credit scores, and they're responding to that by paying cash. I can see more and more people rejecting self-service checkouts. Okay, you might say it's still not high enough, or as high as we would like, but the fact that the trend seems to be moving back in the direction of cash and away from self-service, tell me, is that part of their plan? Are these people infallible, and is it all going their way? That's what I want to ask you. Falling BBC audiences, you know, people cancelling their BBC TV licence. Is this what the powers that shouldn't be want? Like, really? You know, is this part of their plan, that the number of people buying newspapers like The Guardian is collapsed? Is it part of their plan that people like Marianna Spring and BBC Verify are just routinely mocked on social media? Is that part of the plan? More people are now discussing organisations like the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset. More people know that their democratically elected leaders are in fact World Economic Forum puppets. So is that part of the plan, that people are now, they weren't aware of that and they now are? Is that part of the plan, that there are millions more people who are now wide awake who weren't? You know, is that part of their devious plan? You know, the reality is that what we're seeing is that politicians are not superhumans, and they're even less competent than they were in the past. You know, you could look at, like, for example, Blair versus Sunak. Blair was kind of more plausible than Sunak and Starmer. You know, and my suggestion to the kind of Stockholm syndrome sufferers is that when somebody does something that's incompetent, it's normally like not part of a plan. It's normally because they've done something incompetent because that's what they are. They are incompetent. It's not, you know, probably not part of when they make stupid mess ups, it's probably not part of an elaborate scheme. It's probably just a mess up because these people are useless. I used to teach A-level economics. So I know that what the Great Reset is about is setting up a centrally planned economy, a technocracy, a fascist technocracy. It doesn't matter if you look through the history books, whether it's communism or fascism, technocracy always fails because the people that try to run society, central planners, lack the information needed to do it successfully. And normally these people are attracted into positions of power because they like power, not because they're particularly competent people. Stand in the park, here's another one. You know, is that part of their plan? Millions of people around the world now, they're meeting up with each other and talking. Is this part of the cabal's devious plan? I don't think so. What I think is things aren't going their way. Homeschooling, these tons and tons of people now are pulling their kids out of state schools, especially in the UK, and educating them at home. Tell me, is this part of a great scheme, and are things going the way of the cabal? I don't think so. 50-year-olds like me sacking work off early because they don't want to pay into the system that's completely corrupt. Tell me, I don't think that is part of their plan. I think that's took them by surprise, and I think it's exceptionally stupid that it has taken them by surprise, because from my point of view it's entirely predictable. The government openly declared war against its own people, and most people aren't stupid and pathetic, and they've withdrawn their consent. And that withdrawal of consent, I put it to you, the Stockholm Syndrome sufferers, is not part of their plan. It's not part of their master plan. Over 2 million people demonstrating in London during the summer of 2020. Was that part of their plan? Don't think so. People mocking global climate warming change, again on social media or just in public, in discourse. Is that part of their plan? No, I think they wanted people to be afraid of climate change and to actually want to have their lives decarbonised and no longer flying. And they expected people to consent to it. People aren't. They're mocking it instead. They're not certainly living in fear of global climate warming change. Thousands of people in London refusing to pay their ULEZ charge. I don't think that's part of their master plan either. I think they would much prefer it if people complied and paid up their ULEZ charges, but they're not doing that. So what I'm getting at here is that they are failing all over the place, all sorts of different areas. Things I say to you are not going to plan, and I'm going to give you a bit more evidence that things are, as far as they're concerned, failing all over the place. Hunter Biden's laptop, was that done on purpose? Is that part of a master plan? Don't think so. And the media getting caught trying to cover that up, is that part of their master plan? Or is it just incompetence? I'd say it's the latter. Yeah, so what's the other one? Yeah, pathetic voter turnouts at elections, is that part of their plan? No, I don't think so, because their plan requires on us consenting to it due to, like, they believe in natural law, that they're right to believe in natural law. We have to consent to whatever they want done to us. And a big part of consent is voting, and people are not voting. Voter turnouts are falling, and that's going to it's going to be very difficult for them to claim legitimacy on very, very low voter turnouts. So is that part of their plan, low voter turnouts? No, don't think it is. The other thing that you would say is that just as the BBC's declining, you've got a whole host of people like me, people like Rise Above, people like Veritas Vincent, people like Tim Fairplay now, Marty Bucko, sheep farm. There's been what do they call them? Ramish farmers or something. I don't know there's thousands of them anyway. And basically, it's very hard for them to censor what people say. You know, like obviously Rise Above the fantastic in terms of what they call the Ralphabet, which is all about basically using code words to defeat Al Gore at Gulag Tube. So yeah, it's been pretty easy to avoid censorship. So is that part of their plan? Like for us to be able to, you know, for thousands of YouTubers to be spreading information, and for them to be so worried about disinformation, is that part of their plan? For me, it looks like we're winning as far as I'm concerned, because I don't really see many dissidents have been locked up, and this is 3 years into it. You know, what I can see is a lot of people spreading the truth, which is against what the establishment wants. And this probably was one of the main reasons why the drop off for the Britney Spears and the Boosters after the third one fell off a cliff. So I don't think that's part of their plan. New platforms, they're also emerging, aren't they? Is that part of their plan? Is that something that they wanted? Like Rumble and all of these other channels popping up, Telegram, different Telegram groups. Did they actually want that? Don't think so. I don't think that's part of their plan either. So look, you know, in summary, I think things aren't going their way. Things are falling apart for them all over the place. It's every single day normies wake up, and once they're woken up, they don't go back to sleep again. As I think that Vernon Coleman basically invented that phrase, turn of phrase. So yeah, their game is falling apart, and that's all I want to say today. So God bless.